Now that you have Altium installed, let's go through the process of starting a new project. Now, we'll come up here to the top left under File. And if we click on File, the very first little piece there says New, and we have a lot of options. A new project, a new schematic, new PCB. We want to start off with New Project because the project is going to contain all the files. It'll contain schematics and PCBs. So let's tell it New Project. Now, the project we can name, you'll see here it's a simple project. I'm going to name it Altium 21 Op Amp Demo. And I've picked a location for it. My C drive, I'm putting in the temp because this is just a demo to make a video. And it says Altium 21 Op Amp. That looks good. I'm going to select the folder and I'm going to tell it Create. This is all under local projects. So tell it Create. There we go. Now when I see my projects over here, there's a projects tab. I see that I have my Altium 21 Op Amp demo project with no documents added. Okay, so there's nothing added to it. It's just an empty project. This design is an old design. Altium always starts up with the last design you were using still loaded. So when you start Altium, you'll see the last thing you were working on. We're not going to need this one, so I'm going to come up here and right click on it and say Close Project. There we go. Now under the project, if I right click on the project, I have some options. And one of the options is add to existing project, right? Add new to project. I want to add new. I want to add a new schematic. There we go. So now I have a schematic. So let me right click on it again and say add new to project. I want a circuit board, PCB, printed circuit board. So I'm going to click on that. There we go. So you see these tabs opened up here. This is my license management, which we had up and running before, so we could see that we were licensed. Here's the sheet for the schematic, where we'll draw our schematic, and there's a printed circuit board. Alright, now if I go back to my projects here, you'll notice that this box right here is red. Red is warning me that it's not saved. Right? I have something that I've put in my project, but it hasn't been saved. So I'm going to come up here to Save All Documents and click on it. And here it is, PCB1. Right? I don't want to leave it that name, so I'm going to change it to Altium 21 Op Amp Demo. And there's the sheet. That's our sheet that we're going to draw on our schematic. So here we go. I'll change it to the same name. Hit Enter. Notice my red box went away. Now I have a project, and my source documents are the sheet that I'm going to draw my schematic and my PCB where I'm going to place my parts. And you'll see how it's set up with a little offset. There's the project, there's the source documents, and here's the documents. Altium operates like a relational database. These documents go to this project. If I happen to make a new file here, I'll just say I want to make a new schematic, and then it says it's named sheet 2. I'm going to right click and say remove from the project. Now you see I have a free document. This sheet does not belong to this. Now if I want to save that, I can go back to Save All, and then I say maybe I want to right click this and say I'm going to save it as, because I want to change the name. I'll put a 2 after it. So now I have this document, but it's not associated with any PCB. So that's one important thing to remember. You want to make sure your documents are associated together. So here we are back to our schematic sheet. Now your schematic sheet is blank when you start off. You'll be able to place parts on there. If we come up to our Let's see, we come up to our project. Let's see, project options. Yep, we can do that later. We have some options we can set. We're going to go through some of these a little bit later. And we'll see that some will be causing us some problems, but right now we're okay because we have nothing on our sheet. If you look at the tabs I have over here, I have properties, messages, components. These tabs, when I put my mouse over it, they come out. When I take my mouse away, they go away. So let me look at the components. This is where I would get parts to place on my circuit board, on my schematic. You'll notice I can grab the top of that and stick it over here, and it floats all by itself and just stays there. It's not over here on the right anymore. If I drag it over here, now it's on the left. I come over here, click on it, it opens up. I can drag it out here, and if I accidentally delete it, now I don't have components anymore, go to the bottom right where it says panels, and we'll look for the one that says components right here, and we click it and we get components back. Right, we'll place it right there. All of these little tabs on the sides, when you open them up, has a pin right here. I can click that pin and it locks it. Now it won't close, it'll stay there. So let's start putting some parts on. This is going to be a lot like P-Spice or LT Spice, whichever one you're used to using. I'm going to click on the op amp here, and I'll double click the op amp, and when I do, it puts an op amp on my mouse, and I can move that mouse around wherever I want to put it. I pick a spot where I want to place it on the schematic, and when I want to place it, I can left click to place it. Now if I don't like the orientation, I can rotate it. Unlike LT Spice and other programs, you rotate in Altium by using the space bar. So if I hit the space bar, it'll rotate. You can see it rotating. If I hit the X key, I can mirror it. You see now the non-inverting is on top. I hit the X key. Now the non-inverting is on the bottom. If I hit the Y key, I'm just shifting the Y axis, shifting the X axis by hitting the X and Y before I place it. When I put it where I want it, let's say I want it right here, I'm happy with that. I left click, I place that part, and now look, another one is attached to my mouse. If I want to place the second one, very good, I can rotate it and do whatever I want to do to get it where I want it, and then left click. If I don't want to place anymore, I can right click or hit the escape key. So now I have a part here. I can place some more parts because this is going to be a very simple design. Here's a resistor. Let's place a resistor. There we go. I'll click a resistor. I'll place, that's an input resistor. There's the feedback resistor. Now I'm going to hit escape, and I'm going to pick resistor 3 this time. Just a different resistor. You'll notice that when I place them, they all say the same thing. I'm going to zoom in, and the easy way to zoom is hold the control key and scroll on your mouse. I can scroll in and scroll out with my mouse. If it's really small like that, I could tell it view, fit the document, that fits the whole sheet, or I can say view, fit objects, and now every object that's on that sheet, it'll scale it till it fits my screen. And you'll see I have resistor 1K, resistor 1K, resistor 1K. That's okay for placing parts. When we look at it, this will work. But I notice that I have a red wiggly line here. There's a red wiggly line. That's warning me that there's a problem, or a possible problem. And the problem is all these resistors have the same designator. They're all R question mark. So let's explore some of the options here for changing those. If I highlight that part, I'm going to unlock the components and hit properties. That part's highlighted, and I can see the designator says R question mark. So I'll back off and say I want that to be R1. Hit enter. Alright, that one's R1 now. I can come to this resistor, go to properties, and say, yep, I want that one to be R2, and then look down here is the value. I want that resistor to be 10K, and I hit enter. Now I have R1 and R2, 1K, 10K. I'll show you another way to do it. I can just click where this text is. I click a second time, I can back that off and say R3. And I can come to the 1K value here and click on it, highlight it all, and say I want it to be 50 ohms. So there's a couple of different ways right there to change those values after you place your part. There's other ways to do it. I'm going to hit Control Z. I'm basically taking those parts away, so I've gotten rid of all those parts. And I'm going to come back to Components. I'm going to double click on the resistor. Now, before I place the resistor, it's on my mouse, I'm going to hit the Tab key. The Tab key, you'll see there's a pause button here now. The Tab key opens up the properties. I can change it now before I even place it. Say I want R1, and 1K is okay, so I just place it. And look, it automatically incremented. R2, I hit Tab key. I want it to be 10K. Look at that. I'm not going to place the R3 because I want to use a different resistor there. So I'm going to go to Components, Resistor 3. I'll hit the Tab key and say I want that to be R3. And I want the value to be 50 ohms. And I'll place it right there. Alright, so we just went through several different ways to place the part and change the values and change the designators. Right, I have R1, R2, R3. I'm going to show you another tool. Under Tools and Annotation, we have Annotate Schematics. I'm going to click on that. Alright, here's a whole set of tools here to change the designators. Right now it says start index is 1. I'm going to change it to 100. I'll turn them all on. And then it says how do I want to order them? When I change the designators on my schematic, do I want to go across the top and then down and then across and then down? Right, I have options there. Maybe I want to go down, then across, down, then across. You have all these options. You can use any one you want. I can update my change list. One change made. Let's see, I can, let's just reset them all to start with. I'll reset all my designators. And I'll update my list. 4 changes were made. I'll accept the changes. And I'm going to validate them. Yep, green checks, it looks like it's happy. I'm going to tell it to execute the changes. And I'll tell it close. And I'll close my annotation. Let's see what we got. Well, just what we told it to do. R100, go across, then down, 101, 102. The op amp is AR100. Now usually with integrated circuits, it's not AR, it's usually a U. So I'm going to change that to a capital U, like U1, U2, U3. There we go. I'll come up here and hit the Save All button. So now we've used the Component tab, and we used the Properties tab. We used the Tools tab up on the top, and we did our annotations. If at some point I've added and removed resistors over my design, and this one ended up being 105 and 100, and things get out of order because I've been modifying my design over time, I can come up to Tools, Annotation, and say reset the designators. They're all question marks again. I come back up here and say Annotation, and let's do it a lot easier this time. Annotate schematics quietly. It means I don't need to pull up that whole menu and go through all those things again. I've already done it once. There are 4 designators that need to be updated. Do I want to? Yes. Look at that. R101, 102, U100, R100. So I've updated them all. We'll save them. That's pretty good. Right, we got that set up pretty well now. So we know how to annotate. We know how to change them. I'll show you very quickly how to wire them. Here's our tool for wiring. Place wire. You could also go up here, right, and tell it to place a wire. Same thing. And let's say I'm going to wire this guy to this guy. Now you'll see my tool at the end of my mouse is gray. When I hit the very end of the resistor, there's a little plus symbol right there at the end of the resistor. When I hit that, it turns red. That's telling me that this is a valid node. That's where I can actually wire to it. So I'll hit that. Same on my op amp. Look right there. It's got a little plus symbol at the end of the lead. I click. I'm now wired there. I can come to this resistor, come down. I can also connect wires together, so I don't have to go over there. I can go right here, places a junction. Now here's where we can get in trouble. I'm going to wire this op amp to this resistor, and then I'm going to wire this guy over here. Now if I look at it, looks like I have an input resistor, a feedback resistor, and an output resistor, but there's a problem. I'm not connected to the wire or that node. I'm over here in the graphical part. So that resistor, R100 on this side, won't be connected to anything. That'll be a problem. A couple of ways to fix it. I can grab that wire and slide it over. Look, I have a junction now. Now it's good. And there was a little red wiggly mark there telling me that there's a problem. That resistor's floating on that end. I took care of that problem. So now I have R100, 101, 102, U100. Quick and easy way to wire these things. I think that'll be good enough for this video. We'll stop here and we'll continue on the next video. Thanks.